Hospital Porter's pride and dignity stop the New World Order. Welcome to Hapanwo TV. This is an important video I'm going to make. It's not a pleasant one, and because it's so important I'm going to upload it to both YouTube and vid.me and probably some of my other platforms as well. It concerns the last 7 days in the political world, which have been the worst in the world of politics for a good year and a half. We've had some very good days actually in the last year and a half in terms of politics. The last week has been pretty lousy as contrast to that. Now it's amazing how the world works. It's amazing how many synchronicities there are in history. And one of a very ironic and very sinister and foreboding one has come up in the previous week. Now on the 6th of April 1917, 6th of April 1917, the United States of America declared war on Germany, and which meant basically the USA entered World War I, the Great War. And Americans' troops went over to join their European compatriots in the trenches to get blown to bits and things like that. Now exactly 100 years later, to the day, on the 6th of April 2017, the same country, the USA, fired the shot that might start World War III. And I know that's an alarming thing to say, but I think it's true. A volley of land attack missiles were launched from US Navy ships in the Mediterranean that destroyed much of an airbase, Sharat Air Base in Syria. And the reason this was done, apparently, was because of what happened a few days earlier. A few days earlier, news agencies in Turkey claimed that the Syrian government forces had carried out an attack against a rebel-held town using chemical weapons. They basically carpet-bombed the area with chemical weapons. The deadly nerve gas, sarin, is in tiny doses can cause instant death. It is alleged to have killed 80 people, including many children. And President Trump ordered the attack against Syria in response. And he did this with less than literally just days later, which is amazing when you consider no weapons inspectors were sent in, there was none of the fuss over they had with Iraq before they went into Iraq. They put up the pretense of looking for chemical weapons. They didn't do that this time. They didn't ask some very obvious questions, like for instance, why on earth would President Assad do this? He's on the verge of winning the Syrian civil war. He's really pushed back the rebels a long way within his country. And why would he go and do this? Why would he go and carry out a nerve gas attack on which is totally against international law, and therefore would enrage the international community, which up till then had been Russia at least had been on his side, and many others had. Now, Russia actually immediately leapt to his defence, and they actually said that what had actually happened, which I think is quite likely, is that the chemical weapons were actually in the possession of the rebels, and that the conventional attack by Syrian government forces had caused an accident which involved the warheads leaking their toxic material into the environment, which had caused that death. And there were also many other problems with the original story, which I could pick apart myself when I see the video footage, being an ex-hospital porter. And to be honest, there's some reason to suspect that the incident didn't even happen. I'm not certain about that. Nothing happened, but it certainly wasn't the way it's been presented by the Turkish news agency. First of all, Turkey is an ally of some of these Syrian rebels, and it is an opponent of the Assad regime. It has a vested interest in smearing the Syrian government, especially if smearing could goad one of its opponents or one of its former neutral now opponents into attacking them, like the USA did. And the video footage, as I said, the scene was attended by Turkish ambulances. So how did they get there? That's questionable. How did they get into rebel-held Syria? why the paramedics assisting those who are supposedly injured by the deadly chemicals are not wearing any protective clothing, whereas I know from the times when my own health authority used to be involved in drills involving chemicals, they would wear full protective suits. Paramedics, police, fire brigade, ambulance, they had full protective suits. In this video you see them washing patients down with a hose pipe and rubber gloves. Some of them were even using it and just have their bare hands. Russia condemned the US attack on Syria, which is understandable. I mean, it's thought that 15 to 20 people were killed. And Russia has been backing President Bashar al-Assad against ISIS and other insurgents. And there are believed to be Russian troops stationed at the base. I don't know if any of those were among the casualties. Now, this is something I did bring up previously when I talked about Trump. I mean, I have a letter called... I have a letter. Yeah, it is a letter. It's a video called An Open Letter to Donald Trump. And this was before his inauguration. But as you know, if you followed me, that during the election campaign I was very, very much hoping that Donald Trump would win. I was delighted when he did, because I saw him as an anti-establishment figure, completely through and through. I saw him as, even though I didn't say he was our saviour, I didn't say everything's going to be a bed of roses now Trump's won. I don't know many people who did, actually, whether people within the conspirasphere, or within the alt-right, or with any other fringe political movement. Nobody, I think, actually said, oh, he's our messiah. All we have to do now is elected, everything's going to be fine. But I hoped that he would be able to stand firm against the shadow government. But I did warn at the time that the shadow government would not give up. They would regroup and they would come back. And there's one thing that I did fear from the very start, and I think it's come true, and it can no longer be denied. Trump has been compromised. They, all through the election campaign, the powers that be tried to keep Trump out of the White House. They desperately wanted Hillary Clinton to win. She was their chosen one, as I've said in previous videos. They failed to do that. And then I thought, well, maybe they'll kill Trump or something, or destroy him with a scandal. They couldn't do that. Or they maybe haven't tried, I don't know. It looks as if they have instead decided to find some way to manage him as president. Because the Donald Trump, he made a speech just after this had happened, where he talked about how there's no doubt that Assad had chemical weapons, and and God is on our side, and we decided to launch missiles at the base, things like that. It's almost like that wasn't him talking, that was like someone else talking. It's astonishing and contemptible U-turn. His entire campaign message was, it never deviated from this policy: friendlier relations with Russia and its Middle Eastern allies, an end to foreign wars of destabilisation. You can actually go to, there's actually an image of people who put together all of Trump's tweets during his campaign saying, do not attack Syria, please do not start a war with Syria. So he wanted these more friendly relations with Russia, an easing of the tensions with Iran, better relations with Syria. Because whatever you think of Bashar al-Assad, at least, you know, it's mostly down to him that the Mossad-controlled Islamic State, globalist-controlled Islamic State, has actually been pushed back. Maybe that's why they were so opposed to him, I think, because IS is bought, sold and paid for by the globalist intelligence agencies. That's a long story, but there is evidence to suggest that. Basically, well, I was listening to the Kev Baker show on Truth Frequency Radio. He put up a meme which had it was a morphing of Trump and Hillary together in the same face, and he said it's as if Hillary won, and it is, because what Trump has just done is exactly what Hillary Clinton would have done. And I I put up an article on her Panama Voice saying the path to World War III. And that sounds dramatic, but I think it's accurate. So, the Trump train has been derailed. It's inescapable. And it's very, very sad. Because it is inconceivable that somebody with Trump's intelligence, his street wisdom, his knowledge of how the world works, his experience in politics and in dealing with financial people and economic people, it's inconceivable that when this story came out about the chemical strike that he would not have been suspicious. He would not have thought for 1 second that it was not as it was being reported, or even if it happened at all, he would not have for 1 second had just accepted it. As I said, what would Assad give it? It would be political suicide for Assad. He'd be snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, quite literally. And again, there's some people have said. I mean, even people in his administration have said, this is just it's a single surgical strike, not an act of. It's not the start of a war. Some people have reassured us this is not going to be the start of a war. It's only a one-off. Well, dropping bombs on a military base in a foreign sovereign state is an act of war. And there's no two ways. But you can't do it a little bit and say, oh, it's only one bomb. Only 20 people got killed. Under every international law in existence, that isn't any international court in the world would say that was an act of war. Trump must also know that this is going to sour his new special relationship with Putin's Russia. Russia, a superpower, with enough nuclear warheads to obliterate the United States of America and several countries as well. Russia now has more nuclear warheads than the United States, I believe. You cannot, if you're going to piss off Russia, you are potentially risking your own annihilation. So, if Trump has been subverted in some way and has now gone over to the other side, how did it happen? Now, a lot of people within the truth movement, within the conspiracy sphere, not more so within the conspiracy sphere than the alt-right, have been saying things like, told you so, Ben, told you so. I told you, from the very beginning, Trump was just control opposition. He was an establishment candidate from the start. You didn't see it. You didn't see it. Well, the answer to that, of course, is, I think I've said this on previous videos, nobody saw it because the evidence wasn't there. The evidence pointed to the fact that he was not an anti-establishment candidate, and that's why I believed he wasn't. And I believed and I maintain that he wasn't at the start. I actually, what have you got, you say you told me so, what have you told me so? I maintain that Trump was an anti-establishment candidate when he first took office. I think he's become part of the establishment since his election. There's no, that's where the evidence points. And I did warn about this at the time. I mean, despite the way I've been portrayed, I actually said I wrote this on Inauguration Day. We'll have to watch Trump closely because there are worrying indicators that he is currently being absorbed into the establishment that he's never been a part of before, unquote. There's nothing to tell me so about. So if he's been compromised, how do they do it? It has to be threats. Now, the American comedian Bill Hicks, brilliant man, he had a little sketch. He was a conspiracy theorist as well as a comedian, and he said he had a little joke. He used to say, when a new president gets elected, they take him away somewhere to this country house. They take him into a dark room, lots of guys there with lots of smoke everywhere. He's a big power broker sitting around the table. The other end of the table, there's a movie screen. There's a movie projector. There's a movie projector facing it. They sit the new president down, and then they would say, roll the movie. The movie plays. It's a film of the Kennedy assassination, but it's not the Zapruder film. it's from a different angle. It's kind of from the angle you'd expect if it was coming from the grassy knoll. The film stops, and these suited power brokers turn to the president and they say, "Right, any questions?" Now in this case, it's probably not just Trump's own life that's been threatened. Trump has a big family. He has his young wife, Melania. He has many children and grandchildren, like little Baron, who's become quite famous. Now he loves them with all his might. He loves them with all his heart. And it's quite likely that the agents of the New World Order, the shadow government, have promised to do them harm of one sort or another, all of them or some of them or one of them, unless Trump changes his tune, unless he starts doing what he's told. He needs to become a more compliant president. I mean, these elitists, these globalists, these New World Order Illuminati, whatever you choose to call them, they are nothing if not versatile. They tried very hard to stop President Trump becoming president. They worked hard and they failed. It was a massive blow for them. But they've come back. They've resurged and they've changed tactics. They've decided, okay, he's in the White House. How are we going to manage him there? It's disappointing and it's depressing that this has happened. It's very demoralising. As Millennial Woes, he did a video about this where he was really, really downhearted, and I understand. I know how he feels. But it's maybe not the end. Now, there's a guy called Lawrence who regularly reads my Hapanwo articles and he comments on them, and he said under my World War III article, he said, "It beggars belief that the US should rush to judgment like this. Having said that, we should give President Trump another chance, in my humble opinion." And yes, we should. Because I don't think it's too late for Trump to find some way to twist the situation back to his advantage. And I think I'm ready to grant him that. I mean, it may be because I'm a conspiracy theorist and I'm not part of the alt-right, but that I see things this way. You see, Trump is not a man who likes to be defeated. Doesn't have to experience it very often, I imagine. And when he does, I imagine it probably leaves a pretty unbearable taste in his mouth when he does. He's used to winning, and this is the biggest business deal he's ever had to do, and I want him to win it. What can I do if he chooses to resist and dig his heels in a way which he can do so without endangering himself or his loved ones? Can I help him in any way? I'll do it. I'll help him as much as I can. I wish him all the best. I mean, what can I do? Unless he has been truly and utterly browbeaten down, crushed, absorbed, and he has decided to comply, to become just another elite globalist clone, just like Obama, just like Bush, just like Clinton, just like Reagan, just like most of his other predecessors. Now, I said that maybe this is springtime in Narnia. I've said before that maybe 2016 was the start. It was springtime in Narnia, and it may well be. I'm not going to give up. But is it, or is instead winter going to revert? And we're going to go back to the bad old days in Narnia, and the White Witch will return once again to rule. I wish I could be more hopeful. I'm not sure I can be. I just will have to wait and see. And I'll report on that as soon as I can. I hope my next video on this subject will be one in which I have better news for you. Thank you for watching Hapanwo TV. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, stop the New World Order.